Smoke till I'm lifeless. All the ice is dripping when the lights.
Welcome to Super Studs World. Thank you so much for tuning back in. As always, I appreciate you guys. Just so you guys know, as you guys can see, I'm not in the garage this time. So my dogs are around. So if you hear them, don't mind them. Let's get right into it. So you remember how we had to change people's names, right? Well, this time we're going to call this one Jezebel. Me and Jezebel actually got to know each other over downlink. She had messaged me one day and, so I responded. She seemed pretty cool. Her pictures looked nice. She didn't have much on her profile, but, I figured with messaging, we would be able to get to know each other better. And so it had been about 2 or 3 days that we had started to message each other. Nothing too big, just, random little questions here and there. Are you going to school? Stuff like that. And like I said, about 3 days later, I get this phone call from this girl that I used to go to high school with. And she's like, hey, by any chance, are you trying to talk to this girl over downlink? And I was like, no, I have a girlfriend, Amy, we all went to school together. And she was like, yeah, that's what I figured. She's like, okay. She's like, I just wanted to make sure because, she's my girlfriend. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, no, we're just friends, So as soon as we hang up, I text our girl and I was like, damn, you couldn't tell me you had a girl? And she was like, well, she's not really my girlfriend. We just kick it and hang out once in a while. So, she reassured me that, oh, girl, wasn't nothing. And I was like, okay. Don't get me wrong. I felt kind of bad because, I've known this girl since high school. So when I asked Jezebel more about her and, what that was about, she's basically told me that they had been kicking it and it wasn't nothing serious. So anyways, I let it go. We never spoke about it again, which was cool. So we finally exchanged phone numbers. We started to text. And from her pictures on her profile, I assumed that, she looked nice, sweet, and innocent. But once we started texting each other, it changed a little bit. She started sending me all these text messages, these freaky text messages. And, now the people that I had been with previously weren't as free and comfortable with themselves to expose and take pictures of themselves and send them, So when this girl started sending me nudies, I was like, okay, that's how you feel? Like, I'm down. It was just liberating to see that she was really comfortable with herself and kind of a little prosty for, sending me pictures like that, but I was okay with that, It wasn't a big deal. And so I really started to dig this girl. The more we talked, the more we text. Now, remember, we still hadn't seen each other yet. And so one day she actually invites me to this party that they're having for her softball meeting. And I go over there. I take one of my friends with me. And it was the first time we meet. And it was great. It was really nice, even though her parents were there, we were super, super, super on lock, because her parents were not okay with her dating girls. So it was more like we had to play it off like we were friends and stuff like that. But, as we got to know each other more at that party, it was nice to see her and put a face to the conversations that we had been having. And so I leave that night and, she tries to give me a kiss and I wasn't ready for all that just yet. It was the first time we meet. So the very next day, I guess she really liked me and did want to spend more time with me. So the very next day she calls me or she texts me in the morning and she tells me, I really had a good time seeing you last night and I really want to see you today. After school, I want to, pick you up with one of my friends so we can go hang out at the movies. So I was like, all right, cool, not a problem. I was really excited. And this was in the morning. So lunchtime comes around and she had stopped texting me. So I give her a call and I'm like, what's going on? You all right? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I'm fine. She's like, I went on your MySpace and I seen that you have a girlfriend. And I was like, no, she's not my girlfriend. And at this time, you guys know I'm still with Amy. And I'm still talking to Janet, but there's no sign of Janet anywhere on any social media or nothing like that. However, Amy is, I've been with her for such a long time already. So I'm like, no, she's my ex-girlfriend. We're not together anymore. We hardly see each other. So she was really pissed off and she was just like not having it. She really wanted to cancel our movie date that night. So I go and I call her and I'm like, dude, please answer my phone calls. She's not answering me. She's super upset. And so I decide to leave school and I take the train that leaves me right in front of her school. When I get there, I text her, I'm like, hey, where are you? And she's like, well, I kind of looked more through your page and, I guess you guys haven't been together. And so, I don't know what she's seen, but I was glad that she had gotten over it. But she wasn't at her school. She was all the way by my school. So when I let her know where I was at, she told me, she was like, stay there, just chill out. She was like, I'll go pick you up. We went through, with our movie date. We actually seen Resident Evil. And I had a really good time. While we were watching the movie, we watched it here and there, but we were also talking as well. And, just in the middle of the movie, I thought to myself, I'm like, why not just ask her out, right? And so I ask her out and she says yes, And so I'm really excited that she said yes, we start to make out or whatever. But she decides she wants to take my hand and that she wants to put it in her pants. And so in the middle of the movie, she's sitting there. She's trying to get me to play with her. And I'm like, dude, your friend's right next to you. She's going to see what's going on. There's people behind us. And she's like, I don't care. And so, I get a little adventurous and, I sit there and I play for a little bit. And I was like, nah, if we're going to do anything, it's going to be, the real deal, you dig. So I stop and, we just continue to watch the movie. We have a good time. She didn't get upset or anything like that. So we have a good time. She takes me home and she's really digging me and I'm really into her. And so I decide to call Amy that night and, let her know, hey, I think it's time that we break up. We were together when I decided to tell her. I was in her face. We had just hung out. We had just finished kicking it, blowing back. And when I tell her this, she's like, I can't believe you. I'm sitting here buying you shit. And I'm like, wait a minute, what did you buy me? And she's like, it doesn't even matter now. She's like, if you're going to go. Let me get out the car and let me give it to you. So this whole time, while we're getting out of the car, she's opening the trunk. This whole time, she's talking like a world of shit. And of course she is. I mean, why wouldn't she? I just broke up with her, and she knows that I'm not being faithful. However, she just doesn't know quite yet with who or anything like that. You guys already know she called me up with Janet. So we break up. She goes ham on me. It's cool. It's whatever. She still decides to stick around. She's still my friend. On the side, if we did anything, we had stopped all of that at this moment. So I decided that I want to sit there and put my all my time and everything into Jezebel. Big mistake, by the way. And you guys will find out why. So we don't see each other for a few days, and she tells me, hey, it's because I started school, and, I really haven't had much time to do anything. So I was like, all right. But she's like, I really, really want to see you. So I was like, all right, cool, not a problem. Let's make it happen. So she calls me one morning and she's like, hey, do you have bus money? And I was like, yeah. She's like, I think I'm by your house. I think my school's by your house. So she gives me the street names and I'm like, dude, that's like a 15-minute bus ride. I was like, yes, I want to see you, you know? So I go to her school, I see her, and to my surprise, she's like, I'm going to go home with you. I'm going to skip school. And I was like, seriously? And she's like, yeah. I was like, all right, cool. You know, this is the first time we're going to be alone. Nobody's home. So I was like, hell yeah, I'm so down. So we take the bus back home. We get there. And don't get me wrong, I am a little nervous. You know, we are dating and stuff like that, but we haven't been alone yet. So she wastes no time at all in trying to get it in, right? So we do, you know what I'm saying? I don't let her do anything to me just yet. You know, I wasn't comfortable with that. And she did ask me, but I wasn't comfortable with just that just yet. So we have a really good time. We do. She cooks afterwards. But she has to be back at school in time because her dad comes to pick her up. So, you know, we're sitting there, we're having all this fun. We're not looking at the time. We absolutely forget that she has to be back by like 3:00. So by my luck, my cousin comes over and she's like, what's going on? What are you guys doing? And I was like, dude, do me a favor, please, and take this girl back to school. I was like, her dad's going to get there. He's going to see that she's not there. And that's it. It's going to be a wrap for us because, you know, he already seen me the other night. I'm sure he's already suspicious. So we get there and the man is there, right? So we see his van in time that, you know, Jezebel ducks, I duck just in case. And my cousin goes all the way to the back of the school where luckily all her classmates were sitting there smoking cigarettes. So we drop her off and me and my cousin leave. And we're in the clear. It was amazing. It was a swift getaway and I couldn't have been more happier. So, you know, as days went by, we've seen each other a little bit more. She continues to skip classes and she was also starting her softball season for the summer. So not only did I get to see her during the week at school, but where she played softball was right by my house. So it was perfect. I got to see her during the morning. You know, she would tell her dad that she can get a ride to the park. So I got to spend all this time with her. We got to know each other. It was amazing. You know, we were having a really good time. And one day I actually go home with her and I tell her, hey, you know, let's hang out or whatever. She's like, I'm down. But she seemed a little different that day. And so we're in my room, we're talking, and out of nowhere, she sits there and asks me, to my knowledge at the moment, was the most weirdest question. It went a little something like this. What are your thoughts on makeup sex? What? Haven't you ever had makeup sex before? No, I don't ever have sex when I'm angry. You're lame. What do you get out of makeup sex? What do you mean? I want you to choke me, spank me, slap me. I'm leaving. Oh my god. So, have any of you guys ever had an experience like that where you're dating somebody and all of a sudden they just come out of the blue with some crazy shit? Like, what's your feelings on whatever the case is? Like, you're just not used to it. It's something that's completely new to you, you know? So, it's just like a what the fuck moment, you know? Anyways, after that little mishap right there, me and Jezebel kind of came off of the same page that we were on. You know, every time we were alone, it was, bam, let's get it in, and everything was fine and dandy, you know. She never she never expressed, wanted to try something different during. So to me, I was okay. We were okay. But after that, it became a little different. Actually, it became so different that I started to, hang out a little bit more with Amy. I thought everything was okay. Of course, it hadn't been too long. We hadn't hung out that many times. So for that to happen, I was kind of disappointed. And especially to see the change afterwards. So this one night, I call Amy, and Amy's super quick to come get me with our friends. And not only am I not feeling good this night, but I'm also like, damn, why is my girl acting so different? I'm upset. I'm not understanding what's going on with her. So I go to Amy's, and everybody's sitting in front of her house, and I decide to cross the street real quick. I'm leaning on my friend's car. You know what? How about I just show you guys?
What's wrong with you?
Nothing. I have a headache.
You walked all the way over here to be on the phone.
I came over here because I don't feel good, and I just so happened to get a phone call.
You're so full of shit. You came over here to talk to your bitch. What the fuck, man?
So that's what happened at Amy's. Not only did she hit me, but as soon as that happened, I had to sit there and had to walk away from her because she was like begging me to hit her back. She felt bad for what she did, and I understand that, but it doesn't mean that it's okay. It's not okay. Two wrongs don't make a right. So me hitting her would have done nothing for me whatsoever. Maybe a little satisfaction, but it still would not have been right. Anyways, I wasn't talking to Amy that much after that. It was just, I was really upset with her. I was really upset that she would do something like that to me. On top of that, it was kind of rocky with my new girlfriend. So I was like, dude, what the hell was going on, Anyways, one day I have a really good friend of mine that comes over, and she's like, can you get dressed quick? I really want you to meet somebody. And I was like, who do you want me to meet? To me, I'm like, oh, she's trying to hook me up with somebody. And so I'm like, oh, who is she? Whatever. I'm asking her all these questions. She's like, no, it's not even like that. She's like, she's one of my friends. She's more of a spiritual friend. So spiritual friend, I was like, what? I was like, I've never heard of a spiritual friend in my life. She's like, get dressed, wear something nice, and, just come on, she's waiting for us. And I was like, she's already waiting for me? And she's like, yeah. I was like, all right. So this whole time in the car, I'm thinking to myself, like, what the hell is a spiritual friend, right? So I don't ask. I'm intrigued by just that alone, it's something new to me. So we get there, and it's my friend, her husband, and myself. And they walk in, I walk in, and I feel something inside of me change when I walk into this place. It's just her house. It's a normal apartment, looks great, it's huge. I walk into the living room. But the more I walk into the living room, I turn my head to the left, and the dining room is completely full of these statues, these saints and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, from going to church once in a while, I recognize some of these saints, However, I sit down by the edge of the room, and I can see more into the dining room. And on the other side, I see a table. And it's like this dark table just with the death statue and, La Santa Muerte, whatever it is that they call it. No disrespect. I'm just not sure exactly what the terminology is. And so I'm a little freaked out at this moment. Everybody seems to be afraid of this woman for some reason. Everybody shows her like this, I don't know, like this type of respect that's, I don't know how to explain it to you guys. It's crazy though. And something about her eyes, every time, you know, when I would meet with her, when my eyes would meet with her eyes, it was just this connection. Again, I have no way to explain it, but it made me feel some sort of way, you know, inside. And so I'm sitting there. It's the first couple minutes that I'm there. She's talking to everybody. You know, of course, she introduced herself. She introduced everybody else that was there before we got there. And she's like, all right, guys, I need everybody to leave. So I'm like, damn, I mean, damn, we just got here. So I'm getting ready to get up. And she's like, no, not you. You stay. I want to talk to you. So I'm like, all right. So everybody leaves, and it's literally just me and her in this place. And now I'm a little nervous. First of all, I have somebody who wants to speak to me alone. I've never met you in my life. Not only that, but I don't know what you got going on in your dining room right now. I'm not sure what this whole spiritual friend thing is about. So I got all these thoughts going through my mind. And she just starts talking to me. She's just like, so, you know, your friend was telling me about your situation. And I was like, what situation? And she's like, oh, you know, how you don't like to be at home and stuff like that. And, you know, I had my own issues going on at home. I didn't want to be there all the time. And so basically that's why I would spend all my time with either Amy, Janet, or now Jezebel, you know? So she's like, let me ask you something. Have you ever heard of brujeria? And I was like, you know, I've heard of it. I don't know much about it. I don't know anything about it. She's like, what about Santeria? And I was like, again, heard about it. Don't know much about it. And she was like, well, I'm a witch. Well, that right there freaked me the hell out. Because I was, in my mind, you have this imagination of a witch, you know? And you're thinking about pointy hats and brooms and all of this. And so I'm like, okay. You know, I'm thinking maybe you're a little full of shit. But again, you know, this is something that I was new to. I didn't know this lady. So, however, she still kept me intrigued. I don't know. There was something about her, something about her eyes, something about the way that she spoke, the way that she carried herself, right? Now, she's a married woman. She's got kids, all of that, you know? And so her kids believe in her and what she's doing. I seen how everybody was with her. And out of nowhere, she's like, tell me about these girls that you're with. So I laugh and I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, look, let's just get this out of the way right now. I know when people lie to me. I was like, damn, all right. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I'm like, you know, I'm going out with this girl right now. Her name is Jezebel. And she's like, that girl right there, she's gonna leave you. And I was like, what? She's like, she's gonna break up with you. I was like, no, she's not. And she's like, all right. She's like, the white girl that you're with? She's like, I don't know what her name is. And I was like, Amy. And she's like, that Amy girl that you got stringing along? She's like, that's your soulmate. She's like, and you're going to realize that. And I was like, that girl is not my soulmate. We done heard each other way too many times. And I was like, nah, that's not my soulmate. And she's like, okay. She's like, and that other girl that you're messing with, she does what I do. You need to be really careful with her. So I was like, she does what you do? Like, how do you know that? She's like, because I see her. She's like, let me ask you something. When you go to her house, does she light candles around you? And I was like, she lights candles in the room. I was like, well, she lights tea lights because I'm a little afraid of fire. So I can't really go to sleep if I know that there's a candle on somewhere nearby. You know, I've always been aware of my surroundings. I was like, and I try to be very cautious. I was like, so candles while I'm sleeping, I was like, you know, that's why she likes the small ones. They burn quick. She's like, do you know what color they are? And I was like, green. Green's my favorite color. And she's like, green is for domination. Green is for money. She's like, she dominates you with her money, right? I was like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, come on. And I was like, yeah, she got money. And I was like, that's the only reason I mess with her is because she got money. And she's like, be careful. Be very careful with her. I'm going to give you something. And I want you not to let her touch them if you ever see her again. She's like, matter of fact, just stop messing with her. She's no good for you. And I was like, all right, whatever. You know, I was like, I'm not going to let some lady tell me to drop my girl, that my girl's going to, you know, leave me or whatever. I was like, so she's sitting here telling me that I got to break up with my girl, that I got to stop seeing my other one. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to let somebody tell me that I can't sit there and date whoever I want to. Anyways, so we continue to hang out. Everybody comes back in, and you know, we get to know each other more while everybody else is there. And like I said before, there's something about her eyes. There's something about every time we looked at each other, there was just something there. Anyways, so I go home. You know, what she tells me kind of, I don't know, it kind of replays in my head over and over or whatnot, but I don't give it too much thought, right? Whatever. So very next day comes along, and after a few days of not speaking, Jezebel finally calls me. She's like, hey, I got a game. Why don't you come over? And I was like, all right, cool. So I go and I meet her at the park. I get a text message like, meet me in the bathroom. So I go and meet her in the bathroom, and I don't hear nobody. I don't see nobody. So she's like, meet me in the last stall. I'm like, all right, cool. So I go to the last stall, and I think that, you know, I'm going to give her some good luck kisses or whatever, and she's going to go back out there. Nah. This girl's on some, I want you to fuck me. And I was like, what? We're in a bathroom. There's going to be people come in here soon. And like I said, I'm always really aware about my surroundings, you know? So I was a little nervous, and I was like, people are going to come in here and start changing soon. They're going to start coming into the bathroom. I was like, you know, what are we going to do? And she's like, I don't know about you, but I'm about to get it. So you know how when you're in the stall, you got those metal bars on the side for the people, you know, who need help getting up, right? So this broad, she's real flexible, real limber, right? She decides she wants to put one leg on one side, and she throws her leg up on the other side, and she's like holding herself up on top. And I'm like, dude, oh my God. It's like right here in my face, you know? And I was like, I'm going to have to go ahead and get that, you know? So I do, you know what I'm saying? We we in there, throwing out something new. She loves it. We good. She's like, let me leave first. That way I could blend in with everybody else, and then you can leave. I was like, all right, cool. So I take a few minutes. I give her like 3 minutes, and then I leave, and I walk out of there, and I'm good. I sit in my chair, and I'm ready to see her play. She has a great game, you know, and I'm thinking everything's good. We had a good little session in the bathroom. She had a good game. I get home, and she's crying. You know, she calls me crying, and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, well, my parents got a letter from the school that I've been missing a lot of days. And I was like, damn. I was like, you know, the jig is up, you know? And she's like, I'm going to leave. I want to leave. I can't be here anymore. And I'm like, why? What's going on? She's like, they're treating me like shit. And I was like, if you're going to leave, you know, I would want you to come over here. And she's like, all right, you know, cool. So then we hang up. I automatically start cleaning out half my drawers, half my closet, right? I'm waiting for my mom to get home so I could talk to her and she can give me the final A-okay, right? So she gets there and I'm like, Mom, Jezebel is, you know, she's about to leave her house and I don't want her to be on the streets and all of this, right? And she's like, well, what does she do that, you know, her parents aren't treating her good or whatever? And I was like, you know, I don't know. And you know, I'm trying to get my mom on my side here, you know, because I really want my girl to come stay with me, you know. And she's like, well, I want to talk to her mother. So I was like, damn, salty, right? She makes me call her house. And my mom starts talking to her mom. Her mom starts telling my mom how she's missing school and they're paying for school and that they're letting her play softball and that she's not doing school. And I was like, damn, salty. So they're talking for a long ass time, like not bashing us, but my mom's like, oh, well, my daughter's like this and like this. And and Jezebel's mom's like, well, my daughter's the same. And I was like, damn, like, she's not going to be able to come over here, right? So that night, later on that night after our parents speak, I tell her good night and that I love her and that I'm sorry that I couldn't do anything, She doesn't text me back. And I'm like, all right. So the following day, I text her good morning, our usual, nothing. So I was like, all right, whatever. So I sit there and I go to her game, right? Now, I get there, she doesn't text me. She hasn't texted me for the last 2 days. I know she got a game this day, so I just show up out of nowhere. And when I show up, she's just completely ignoring the hell out of me. Completely. She's got 2 brothers and they were talking to me, they were cool or whatever, and they were telling me how things happened that night, how she got her ass beat basically because they found out for sure that she was dating me and that why was my mother calling the house and all this shit. So I found out she had a really hard night and that she had been a little distant the day afterwards. Or the morning afterwards. So I'm like, damn, what's up? And her brothers walk away, cool. And all of a sudden she walks over, she gives me a notebook and she walks right back to her, to her game. And I'm like, oh, that's sweet. I got a notebook. So I open it and it seems as though I guess she had been writing like journal entries since she got with me. So I started reading through them or whatever, and it was very few journal entries. Mind you, it hadn't been that long. It was probably maybe like a month, maybe 2 months, right? So I'm reading everything, and all of a sudden I see this entry from the night that our parents spoke. And she was like, I felt as though you threw dirt in my eyes when you had your mom call my house. Like, how could you? That my mom and my dad don't want me with you, and they don't want me to be gay, period. And I was stuck. I was stuck. I really wanted to do for her. I wasn't trying to bring her down. I wasn't trying to get her in trouble. Nothing like that. I really wanted to be her superhero at that moment. And, my plan backfired on me. There was nothing that I could do. What was I going to do? Stay quiet? Let you be in the street, So as I continue to read, I see an entry of the following night. Or that same night, but from the following day. And so she's talking about that she went to a party, and long story short, that basically at that party she was raped by a few guys. And so instantly I started crying, and I was like, dude, I look up, I'm looking at her, and she sees me looking at her through the gate, and I'm like, why didn't you tell me? I mouthed her like, what happened? And she just looked away from me. So I continued to read, and the final entry is her writing to me, talking about that she doesn't want to be with me anymore. That, what I did hurt her, and she felt as though I couldn't talk to her about what had happened to her at that party because she felt as though I was going to get her in trouble, that I was going to try to do something again. And so I was pretty salty at that, you're sitting there taking what I tried to do. Like, I tried to do a good deed, you know what I'm saying? And you're taking it and you're turning it into something else. Like, come on, man, So she broke up with me, right? I know you guys are thinking, well, old girl told you. I know, but it still hadn't clicked. with me that what her old girl had said and us breaking up. I was really heartbroken. I was into my breakup, you know? So I'm sitting there at the park with my cousin, and I just look over her and I'm like, dude, she just broke up with me through like a note, dog. And she's like, fuck her, let's go. So I get up, I don't say nothing to her, I just leave. That's it. I stopped messing with her. That same night, my new spiritual friend Alexis, she shoots me a text message. She's like, hey, why don't you come by today? And I'm like, all right, cool. So I call my friend and I'm like, hey, are you going to be going over to Alexis' house? She's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. She picks me up, we go over there. As soon as I get there, I feel completely better. Yes, what happened is still going on through my mind, but I feel completely different. My spirits have changed. Everything about me has changed, right? And all of a sudden, she's like, hey, can everybody leave again? So I'm like, damn, she's supposed to throw more truth at me or, you know, something. She's going to throw it in my face. I wasn't sure. What she does is she gives me these beads. And I think there's like 5 different beads. They're different colors. And, you know, she tells me what each of them mean in her religion, you know. And not that she's trying to, not that she's trying to get me to turn, you know, from my religion or anything like that. She was just trying to help me out with what she knew best, right? So she gives me these beads and she's like, whatever you do, don't let anybody touch them. And I was like, all right, cool. Now, to me, I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know, what are these beads for? You know, what are they going to do for me? You know, and why can't anybody touch them? And, you know, she explained to me how other people can have, how do you say it in English? Mal de ojo on you. You know, they can wish bad luck on you. And, so I was like, all right. And she's like, so just don't let anybody touch them. I was like, all right, cool. So after chilling out over there, you know, I went home, I felt better. And Janet calls me. And she's like, hey, how are you? I was like, I'm good. She's like, I haven't seen you in a while. I was like, I know, I'm sorry. You know, I've been a little busy. And she's like, well, I got paid and I wanted to take you to get some things. And I was like, all right, you know. And she's like, well, I'll be there tomorrow in the morning. I was like, all right, cool. Now, mind you, from the last video, she doesn't have a car. I don't have a car. So we're busting it everywhere, right? So now I have these beads on, but they're hidden under my shirt or whatever. And we go shopping. We get to the house. She's using the bathroom. I happen to take them off because I was, you know, I was told I didn't have to wear them all the time at home. So I took them off and I put them in my jewelry box, right? And as I'm closing my jewelry box, she's walking into the room. And obviously you can see what I'm putting away, right? So she's like, you have those too? And I was like, what? And she was like, the beads, you have those too? And I was like, yeah, I just got mine. She's like, okay. So I sit down on my bed, right? I walk away from my jewelry box and I sit down on my bed. She automatically walks up to it, opens it, and she grabs them and puts them in her hand. And she's like, these look a little bit different than mine. And I was like, well, I don't know anything about this. I was like, they were just given to me. And she's like, I go to school for this. I was like, you go to school? She's like, well, there's classes that I can take. And I was like, okay, like, I don't understand what this religion was. I respect it. I just don't know what it is, you know? So I don't really ask any questions. I don't say anything to her. But I know my friend Alexis was like, don't let nobody touch them. And this girl done touched them. And now that I know for sure she does the exact same thing that Alexis does, I'm a little scared. Like, did she put like bad jujus on me or what, you know? So I said, then I was like, why did you touch them? I was like, if you practice this, then you know that you're not supposed to touch other people's stuff. And she's like, well, I'm your girlfriend. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So she's like, whatever. She brushes it off. I brush it off. I don't say nothing because I'm pretty sure it's not like a big issue or anything. So, cool. I sit there and I'm thinking to myself, like, now that she's told me that she does this, now I want to get her the hell out of my house because I don't know what she's been doing in my house, you know? So I'm like, well, my friends are about to come get me. I'm about to leave. She's like, I'm going to leave you some money then. You know, I'll see you soon. And I was like, all right, cool. I wasn't planning on seeing her anymore after that. That was the last time that we had seen each other. The fact that she told me that, you know, it kind of worried me. And then on top of the fact that she touched my beads, again, worried me. So I was like, I'm good. You know, her money hasn't been calling my attention. Maybe it's because now I know, you know. So I take her money and she leaves, you know, and that's it. That's the last of me and Janet. She does not resurface ever again. However, Jezebel does. But I'll tell you guys more about that in the very next video. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys tune in again next week. Because, man, have I got something juicy for you. Thank you so much for visiting Super Studs World. Until next time, guys, have a good one.